Binding of Isaac is a notoriously hard roguelike game, requiring hours of practice to memorize enemy movement patterns and utilize the complex in-game mechanics. However, naturally with games of this difficulty, elite players eventually emerge, trying harder and harder challenges and setting themselves apart from the rest. So, what is the hardest challenge an Isaac player can accomplish? Well, let me introduce you to GoblinOsmosis and his quest to beat the hardest character in the game, Itemless. GoblinOsmosis introduced himself onto YouTube 9 months ago, with the start of his dramatic journey to beat the game as Tainted Lost with no items. He often experiments with other itemless runs using easier characters, but it seems more recently that they have been focused on the Tainted Lost. And, as if the challenge wasn't hard enough, a few extra parameters are put in place to standardise the series. Mum and It Lives have to be fought, so trapdoor skips to the next floor are not allowed on the Depths or Womb 2. The Broken Ankh trinket, which has a 22% chance of revival, is banned. Soul of Lilith familiars are not allowed. And obviously, there's no pausing during combat. This is truly a masochistic approach to an already demanding game. However, you simply just can't take your eyes off it. Which leads us on to part 2. Captivation. With videos as long as 40 minutes, GoblinOsmosis does an incredible job at drawing you in to keep watching, even without the use of audio commentary. His notes throughout the video build suspense while still keeping the outcome a secret, calmly explaining his strategy and reasoning behind every decision made during the run, paired with a simple but effective editing style, will get you binge-watching 9 months of progress towards this elusive goal. The whole idea of stripping the game back to its basics of dodging and damage output is really interesting, and seeing how GoblinOsmosis deals with the increasing difficulty of the floors as his build remains stagnant from the start, only aided by minor stat increases from pills or trinkets. Taking no items means other approaches are needed in order to have a chance of winning. Over the last 9 months, he has been refining his skills and developing a strategy. So, what can you do in order to improve a Tainted Lost build when items are out of the question? The first thing that pops to mind are trinkets. Trinkets become a vital part of any particular run's build, and as perfection is guaranteed after defeating the floor 3 boss, the question arises, is my current trinket better than perfection? Usually the answer is no, but there are a few exceptions. Curved Horn is a no-brainer at +2 damage up. Cancer increasing tears potentially past the tears cap is also great, along with Brainworm for homing shots. Another stat booster is Cracked Crown, but this is dependent on stat ups from pills, so not always an applicable trinket. Ace of Spades or Endless Nameless as a means for useful tarot cards like extra holy cards or even a chaos card. Pink Eye on Nose Goblin even? The lack of potential DPS upgrades genuinely makes poison damage quite appealing. Wooden Cross is very useful if your mantle is already broken. Safety Scissors remove Troll Bomb threat, which seems to be a common occurrence in these videos, whilst also gaining bombs to use offensively. Lil Clot and Found Soul are like mini incubuses, allowing for much greater DPS. And Sigil of Baphomet is a no-brainer over perfection. Having extra invincibility when clearing rooms can be the decider between a run or not, and as you are spending so long in the later rooms due to low damage output, having a few extra seconds of invincibility could be vital. Therefore, it's a constant question of taking perfection and receiving more pickups or any of these other trinkets for the small value that they add. But more pickups from perfection means more utility, however. Having more bombs, keys, and pennies increases what you can do in the Binding of Isaac. More bombs will allow for more secret rooms, potentially containing pills or tarot cards, bombing out of horrible room layouts, and not to mention the fact that bombs are an excellent source of damage, especially for the late game rooms which need to be cleared as fast as possible. Keys allow for more chests, vaults, dice rooms, which again can potentially contain useful tarot cards or pills. Money is just always good for gambling on slot machines, especially fortune tellers for trinkets and card payouts. A common strategy in these runs is taking the alt path to Downpour 2 and defeating the boss before going into the mirror dimension. This effectively allows for a whole extra floor of luck boosted drop rates from perfection. Pills are another way of getting stat increases, however, we all know how taking pills usually goes. The risk is definitely worth the reward though, as a few tiers up pills drastically increases room clearing capabilities due to Tainted Lost's already high base damage. Speed up pills increase your ability to dodge, and range allows for long range combat away from danger. Paired with Spectral Tears in flight, this can be a great strategy in some rooms. Other pills like Walking on Sunshine and Lemon Party can be good for bosses and room clears too. And one of the best pills you can find is a Gulp pill, allowing you to stack trinkets as there is no other way of having more than one trinket in this challenge. Gulping down Perfection guarantees increased drop rates for the remainder of the run, and pairing this with another great trinket sets you up for a good chance of success. Tarot cards are also another important part of this challenge. Obviously holy cards, allowing for an extra hit, are incredibly useful here, but are there instances where not taking a holy card is the right play? Well, chaos cards can instantly kill any boss in this challenge. Therefore, is leaving a holy card behind to potentially kill a boss in one hit a viable option? Well, you have to make that decision for yourself. Other cards like Death and Strength are just useful for general room clearing or speeding up boss fights, and reverse cards like the Temperance have to be taken. While 5 random pills can derail an entire run, it can also set you up massively. A few tiers up, speed up, and Gulp pills can drastically increase a run's chance of success. With pills and tarot cards being so useful, this makes the shop a good avenue to explore. Due to the increased drop rates from Perfection, there's a likely chance that you'll have a lot of money, and a reroll machine in the shop gives you a few shots at different pills and cards, which is always worth the gamble. There are other strategies involving min-maxing the last drop of life out of the game. However, I will let GoblinOsmosis reveal those strategies in his videos. I personally think this is one of the most interesting Isaac challenges out there, and GoblinOsmosis portrays it in a fascinating way. Try this challenge out for yourself, and see how far you can get. I'd love to see video proof of anyone beating this. GoblinOsmosis' YouTube channel is linked in the description. Go and say hi from me. Anyway, do you think you can beat the game's Tainted Lost with no items?